TrialWorks 2019 AAJ Winter Meeting, User Group Meeting and Webinar, Part 3.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you for your patience. So next we're going to talk about fast tracks and status updates and some cool stuff there. But before we dive into that, I want to talk about data and backups. So TrialWorks is central to your law firm. This is your data. This is the foundation of everything that happens there. And a lot of times, proper data backups get overlooked. So if you're one of our hosting clients, we take care of that responsibility. We've got multiple servers, lots of backup options and redundancy. It's all built in. But if you're handling your infrastructure yourself, or you have another IT company, I strongly recommend you checking with your head of IT regarding what your backup procedures are. The way I view it is your data is very similar to the money in your bank account. You may have a bookkeeper or accountant that handles all your financial transactions and you trust them and they're handling the day-to-day. But you know what bank your money's in. You know what those accounts are, and if you needed to, you have the knowledge to access them. I recommend treating your data the same way. So make sure that you know that your IT company or specialist is handling your backups properly, is doing them on a regular basis, is not overwriting yesterday's backup with today's, and make sure that you have access. You don't want one person to be the only person who knows how to access that data in case of an emergency. So that's my lecture. I need a little star that says the more you know, but take personal responsibility for your data. And if you have any questions about what's required in that regard, give our support department a call. They will be happy to talk to you about proper data backup procedures in advance. All right? All right, I'm going to turn it back over to Eric. So you can go ahead and turn on your webcam, your microphone, share your screen, and we'll move on to Fast Track.
All right. So one of the new features in version 11.3 is the ability to change your status, substatus, and substatus 1. So in the case info tab, you have a status, substatus 1. To be able to associate one of those drop downs in the entry to not only docket entries, but also document generation. So your administrative group can set your statuses and substatuses up. They can also associate docket entries to that and associate documents to that same fast track. So when you choose your initial intake status, it'll prompt and ask you, do you want to send a status to the notes tab? If you say yes, it'll then create a note that says, on this date, this person changed the status to intake, initial intake. The field was changed and sent. So now when I go to the docket tab, it says the following fast track will be applied to the current case, the client intake. Would you like to continue? What it's telling you is that I've associated my client intake fast track to the initial intake status. So when I say yes and go to the docket tab, now those 3 docket tabs or that fast track has now been applied. From that, I see send the welcome letter. Well, cool. I can double click, open it up, and right there it says create document. Well, create it. I've told it to send the welcome letter, so it automatically brings up the welcome letter in the correspondence detail window. I can associate who's going to get that letter and then create that correspondence, just like I had gone to the correspondence tab and created a new entry. And it creates that letter for me. I didn't have to go to 2 different tabs. It's all right here. So now that it's there, I can close the door. And now it's marked that send welcome letter is completed because I did it. So now when I go to the send met auth, create document, you can literally set this up so you could generate your welcome letter or your welcome packet at one time. Send the client contract. And again, as you create those documents, it marks those docket entries as completed. And now that I've done that third item or that third document, send the client contract, and it's completed, do you want to add received fee and agreement authorizations to the docket? Yes, because I want to follow up in 20 days, 30 days, or 2 days to make sure that A, the client's gotten them and that they filled them out and sent it back to us. And if I ever need to check back to see, did I do those letters? You can go to correspondence and they're going to be right there for you. Yes, ma'am.
Are those already set in there, or do you actually generate your own tasks?
So the question was, are those already set, or do you generate your own tasks? The way that Fast Track works is you set a Fast Track up, and it's like a checklist. So a checklist of things. You could have 10 things, but out of those 10, you only want 3 documents generated. You set that up, your administrator set that up, so then when you can go into a case, you can apply that Fast Track at any time and have those documents created, have those docket entries. It's more docket entries that we're doing follow-ups, or we need to do this, or this needs to be adjusted. And again, it's that checklist for everybody. Are there any other questions? Brian? Nothing there? Cool. So again, with the statuses, that's why it's important if we create that status or substatus to be able to have it associated to a fast track to create those documents. So when you're doing those things, again, we're simplifying everything. We're pushing everything together so it's all automated. There's no more thought process to it, because how much time do we sit and think out of those? We get a new case, what have we got to do first? And we spin our wheels for 2 days thinking, have we done this? Have we done that? Have we done that? Have we done that? We automate that. Just automate the process. Because again, what happens if somebody wins the Powerball? And that one person that did initial intakes, are they coming in the next day? Guess what just left with them? That checklist. Those 10 things that need to get done. That's why if we've automated it, it's here and it's ready to go. Yes, ma'am.
So does the person working on that case change the status as the case is moving forward?
So the question was, does the person that's working on that case change the status as the case is progressing? Yes. So again, you could have 3 or 4 statuses that creates 4 or 5, 10 documents on each status. So when you change it from initial intake to pre-lit, wham, now we've got these. Have we set depots? Have we done this? Have we started discovery? Have we started these things? That's exactly what that's associated to do. So now that we've gone from pre-lit, we've gone to litigation. Have we done this? Have we done that? And that's where we're trying to get everybody. So when you do this, again, it's click of a button, it throws everything in there for us, and we just keep moving.
Is there a status that has to do with closing the case when it's either settled or if there's a verdict?
Is there a status? So the question was, is there a status when a case is closed, like a verdict or a settlement or something to that effect? 100%. You guys can create a status for whatever you want. And I've got firms that do that exactly. They'll have a settlement status, and then it says, have we received the funds? Have the funds been allocated? Has everybody been paid? And then they say another one, follow up 90 days to make sure all the checks have cleared, all disbursements have been done. And now we can truly change it from settled to closed.
All right. I do have some online question now.
Okay.
One, can a fast track be associated with a specific case type? And two, where's fast track? Can you show us how to set one up?
Sure. So number one, the question was, can a fast track be associated to a certain type or liability of case? 100%. Number two, how to set a fast track up. Only your administrators in the firm are going to be able to set a fast track up. Everyone can apply them, but only administrators can set them up. If you're an administrator, you can go to settings, scroll to the right, you see fast track. At that point, you can type in the fast track name or type in a new fast track if you wanted it. Then you can start send a welcome letter. How many days do I want from the day that we apply that fast track for that send welcome letter to apply? Do we want business days, reminders, days in advance, calendar, task, who's associated to it? Then we can set up our status note code and what template or letter do we want associated with that fast track entry. Yes, ma'am.
Is it only associated with correspondence?
No, when you do that, you can do whatever you're looking for. As you see, I'm scrolling down, seeing all of the different correspondence, deposition, legal, medical. So if you've got a medical request or you've got something like that that you want, you can associate. Same thing, if we're choosing that pre-lit or that litigation, now we can start interrogatories, requests for production. Whatever we're looking for, we can associate those templates so we can start creating those documents and getting those documents out in an efficient manner. The second half of the second question was, or the first question is, can we associate that fast track to a certain type of liability? As you've created the fast track, just to the right of it, you can then say, I want this fast track associated to this type of case. So again, every time that type of case is created, this fast track automatically just gets applied to the docket tab.
And then a follow-up question to that is, how do you link a fast track to specific statutes? Statuses.
So when we're looking at that, I do want to finish one more before I go there. Say you open a case and there's not a fast track associated, but you want to apply a fast track. You can go under current case, and right here to the left, it says fast track. I can apply or reapply that fast track. To associate that fast track, just to the right, where I chose liability, there's a button to the right of it. At that point, I could say, I want that fast track associated with that status. So again, if you've got those statuses set, then I can associate fast tracks to it. Then I can associate document generation to it. And again, we're just automating all of that process. Good?
Does it matter which status field you use for intake fast track? We've got some folks that have used the first status field for something else.
When you look at it, okay, so that's going to be kind of a convoluted answer. And the reason why is because when you're setting, your administrators set your statuses and priority codes, they can associate what status or substatus they want that item to appear in. If they don't choose, it can be applied to all three. So regardless if they choose status or substatus one, it cares about the status that you're truly choosing. That's what's triggering the fast track. That's what's triggering the document generation, is that I'm choosing X. Does that answer your question? I believe so. So again, when you're setting your statuses and substatuses up, If you wanted the intake to only show up in the first one, then you would tell it, I only want it in the status, or I want it in the substatus or substatus 1. If you don't choose one of those options in the dropdown, it will appear in all 3 of them. So regardless where you apply it, it's going to apply the fast track in the documents. Any other questions?
No, I think we're good for now.
Cool. So we'll talk about, I'm going to talk about, and just circle back to the web intake. As we took a break, I did get some questions about it, so I definitely want to talk about it. Again, the web intake isn't a cost to anyone. If your maintenance is paid, all of the things that we show, they're all included. There's no extra cost for anything like that. Being able to docket from the web intake, again, to set that appointment, to we've gone out, we've signed up the client, and now we want to have an initial client meeting with them. To be able to create that docket entry, to be able to go to Bob Phillips' case and say, come on, buddy. He's got an initial client meeting set for next Thursday at 2 p.m. Again, I can do all of that on the road. That's what we're trying to do. So I don't have to revisit or recall or follow up 25 times with him to get the bits and pieces of information that I want and need. Again, if you're creating this and you have user-defined forms, you can add your user-defined forms in the intake and documents, like we saw earlier, being able to create or upload documents, not create, but being able to upload documents that our client may have sent us, or documents that we may have done on the road. So some firms will take their client contract with them and have the client DocuSign it right there. They can upload that document immediately right here.
If you're up for it, let's combine the 2 subjects we're covering here,
okay,
and show us how to apply a fast track in a web intake. You got it, man. I believe in you.
I believe in me. Right here is the apply fast track. Again, if that fast track is good enough to be in our cases, why wouldn't we have one for the intake? Because the last thing I want to do is go out, meet with somebody, and then fall by the wayside. Someone's not following up. Someone hasn't called them in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, and on. Get a fast track. If it's, again, good enough for a case, have it good enough for an intake. Because we want to keep, I would have a fast track for an intake before I would have one for a case. Because they're truly not our client yet. I want to stay on top of them to make sure that they do sign that contract, that they are still with us. And when the case comes in, then we still have fast tracks that we can apply there to do follow-up, because no one wants to be ignored. And again, all of clients are always, well, nobody, I didn't ever hear from nobody ever calls me, I never, there's no contact. This eliminates that. Even if I shoot our client an email, hey, how you doing? Are you still treating? Is everything well? How's your dog doing? How's little Susie and little Johnny doing? Just something to let them know that you were thinking about them that day.
So if you apply the fast track here in the web form, is it creating documents for you then in TrialWorks, or is it?
It's 2 different databases. The intake cases manager is totally separate of TrialWorks cases. So when you're doing stuff in the intake, now granted, I can take something from the intake and create a case in TrialWorks. But if it stays in the intake, it stays in the intake. Because it may be one of those cases that we do start the legwork on, and then we realize later down the road that this isn't a case, and we're going to go ahead and reject it. If you reject it, it stays there in the intake cases manager. So
when you click on apply fast track,
Uh-huh.
what is it actually doing?
You're telling the fast track, and you tell it, I want to apply it from today when I sign the case up. it'll apply those docket entries for you.
So there's a docket on the web.
Correct. There's a docket in the client, in the intake cases manager. In each intake, there's a docket entry, same fields. We're giving you the same thing. You're just not tied to the office. We're doing it on the web. Does that help you and answer your question? Awesome.
Can we customize our firm's intake form in a UDF?
Anytime you want to customize your client's intake, using the UDF is the best way to do it. And not only in the intake, but when you create the case in TrialWorks. And again, it gets back to, I had a firm in Pensacola and they did personal injury. And one of the new attorneys came in and he said, TrialWorks doesn't work for me. And I said, but why? And he goes, because I do traffic and DUI and those type of things also, along with, tickets and family law sometimes. And I said, well, why haven't we created you a UDF yet to put in the forms that you would ask when you get one of those cases? And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. We literally went in and he had a sheet that he would sign up a new traffic ticket or a new family law case. And we just created it in the UDF for him. So every time he chose traffic infraction, family law, it would pop that UDF up for him, and he could have those certain questions that he wanted. So it went from, no, this doesn't work for me, to now this is all I'm going to use, because it fit everything that he needed. It fit his personal injury stuff, it fit his family law stuff, and it fit his traffic infraction stuff. Does that answer that question? I hope. Yes.
And then I got another one here. So if we open the case in TrialWorks, will all of that be transferred to TrialWorks from the intake? All docket entries, documents?
Every single piece. If it's got a field in the intake, it is going to transfer to that field case in TrialWorks. The whole objective of us having this intake cases manager is so we are not doing double/triple the work. It's entered one time and one time only. The only time anybody should have to do double the work is if that client calls and says, I just moved and my address is now ABC. And now I've got to go in and update their address. That is what we are trying to do, is to keep it so it's simplistic.
And that includes UDFs as well.
UDFs as well, because as soon as you create that case that says whatever it is, it gets transferred, it's going to be that type of case, that UDF is rolling with it. So if you filled out the entire UDF from question 1 to question 100, when you get into that case, you're going to click on the UDF and that question 1 through 100 is going to be there and it's going to be answered.
And I don't know if you covered this yet. Is there a way to automatically apply fast tracks when an intake is created in Intake Manager?
If you're choosing, again, we get back into TrialWorks. So when you're looking at that fast track, again, we're choosing a liability. When you choose a liability, that's what triggers the fast track. If it's in the intake or if it's here, that's when it's going to trigger it, in TrialWorks or in the intake. Yes, Diane?
And can we customize the view of columns on the dashboard?
Oh, okay. You should, yes, you can go into your global settings and make those adjustments and changes for your columns. Correct. Yep. So the question was, can I edit or adjust my columns that I want to see? When I go into the intake cases, I can click on Manage Columns and adjust those fields that I want to see. Again, when you come into intakes, you can edit and delete a record, or you can just double click on that record and it's going to let you edit or open that intake up. Of course, it's not letting me double click it now. Good. Any other questions there?
Any additional questions in the room?
Any additional questions here?
You guys are outnumbered with the online group. I want to make sure everybody's got the time.
Yeah, I don't want the webinar people to overtake the whole thing, but I'm all right with that too. So the next section that we're going to roll into is template packages. Huh? And one of the users in the on site here said that they love this feature, and what it does is it allows you to create a template package. So if you have 3 or 4 or 5 documents that are set up throughout TrialWorks, you can apply a template package or create a template package that would allow you to create every single one of those documents at one time. So you're not having to go back and forward from this tab to that tab to this tab to create those things. It automatically creates them for you. So when you click on Create Template Package, you can choose the package that you want, and you see the template, the tab, and the actual template that's going to be created. So you can create those items. So when you click on the green plus or the green play sign, it'll start that first template for you. Because it's an ancillary document, it's asking me authorization to release and create. Lovely. Close. And it will allow you to just keep going step by step by step. If at any point no, I don't want that, stop or close this package. So if you get interrupted at work because you're creating this and someone comes in and says, hey, I need to do this right now, right here, you can always go back to that create template package and see that you started it and pick right back up on it, right back where it was. To create a template package, you can go to Templates, Template Packages, add a new package, name it, hit OK, click the plus, start adding the templates that you want to apply to that package. So if I've got a couple of correspondence, pleading, I can add those selected templates and it adds them for me. And now when I go to current case and template packages, it's here for the staff to use. Are none of my templates working today? Good? Sure.
How do you use this in combination with the fast tracks? How would you use them differently? Isn't it kind of doing the same thing? How do you use them differently?
Not every fast track has template or document generation in it, so you could use a template package. Again, they work together. With the fast tracks, it would be you're applying these checklists of 15 things that need to get done, but I only want 5 documents created. So then you could do that. And again, that's unlike a template package, it's creating them all at one shot. This could be you've done 2 or 3 things and created 1 document, and then it applies 3 or 4 other things in the Docket tab. So fast track will progressively can walk you through a case. So when you apply fast track, yes, there's 20 items here, but the first 3 are the only 3 that show up. So once I complete the 3rd item, then it opens 3 other things for me to do. And I can progressively keep going through those. So unlike a template package where it creates them all right then, right there for you, fast track can walk you through and then open those documents that need to be created as you're progressing through the case.
What happens if you don't select merge documents in the template packages window?
When you're here and you don't merge, you just close the template package, it will then register that you started that template package and ask you, if you come back to it, do you want to pick back up where you left off? So we talked about that just a minute ago. If you come into it and you're like, I accidentally created it, just delete it. It's going to say you're about to cancel this package? Yes. So then it pops off your head, hey, I started this already, and I don't want to continue it.
To merge all the documents, there's a checkbox at the bottom. Create a new one.
Okay. When you say here.
When you go to template packages and you start to create a brand new one.
Okay. So create a new template package, add a new. And
I can't see this. You see the bottom where it says merge all documents?
Mm-hmm.
It's a checkbox. What happens if you don't?
Then it'll merge them one at a time. And what the question was is, what happens if you merge all documents? If you don't check that, then it just creates them singly one at a time, creating those documents rather than creating them all at one time. In also saying with template packages, has anybody used the mailing wizard? The mailing wizard allows you to create the same letter to multiple people at one time. So our biggest thing, or one of the biggest things for us that comes into is, okay, I get a new personal injury auto case or a slip and fall case, and this person has seen 5 providers. Well, now I've got to go in the medical tab, click the green plus sign, and create a new medical record for this doctor and this provider and this provider. If you use the mailing wizard, you can create all of them at one time. So click on the mailing wizard, choose your contact types, so doctors. You'll see all the medical providers that are currently in that case. You can pick and choose who you do or don't want to send the letter to. Come over to type. It is medical. I'm going to use my medical record request. I want to preview it so I can see or make adjustments to those letters as needed, and then generate. And it will take this template in the medical tab and create it for those 4. This will create 4 medical records requests. Do you want to continue? Yes. And then there's the first letter, second letter, third letter, and my 4th letter, all at one shot, so I didn't have to go in and do it individually.
Someone online wants to know if that's water or whiskey.
It is water.
We have a little extra time, so I've got some requests to actually cover how to create a template. Maybe just a quick summary.
Okay. I just want to finish up here with the mailing wizard. So once you've created those documents, when you go to that tab, those documents are now there for you and waiting, because you truly created them in the tab for those providers. Under Home, and then New, right here under Mailing Wizard. Yes, sir. I need to lower that a little. Yes, ma'am.
Can you utilize that for multiple cases rather than within one case?
It is strictly for this case. Now, if you've got a dashboard set up, you can use the dashboard that could go across multiple cases. Hey, Brian. The zoom. Shorten it just a hair. There we go. There we go. Now you might want to readjust. There we go. Sorry, I just noticed that you couldn't see it in the back. Okay. So if you're doing the mailing wizard, you can also choose a dashboard to send it to certain people if you're looking for a certain group. So template generation or template creation. Again, this is not it's an easy process once you get comfortable with it. I think the biggest thing for most people is the intimidation factor that I can't do this or this is way too much information. And it's truly, if you just look at it, simplistically, it's just pulling fields from TrialWorks to populate your letter. And one of the biggest things I tell everybody is go to templates, print this list of bookmarks. This list of bookmarks tells you exactly what bookmarks you can use. So if I use accent location, I can use it in any tab I want to, and it comes from the Clients tab. So in the Clients tab, there's a field that says accent location. Whatever I type in that field, that's what's going to go into where I set that bookmark. So if I want it to be a paragraph, you better write it the way you want it in the letter, right there. Because it is simplistic to the point that it says there's something there, pull it in. That's why when we look at our pleadings and it brings in our plaintiffs, our defendants, our court name, the case number from the court, that's pulling from the caption tab. It's pulling that information in. So when we go into our templates and add and edit templates, we can see that blank letterhead. Click on it. It'll always ask you, do you want a new template based on this? No. So when we see this, the date, the address, the rate, the party name, the date of accident, claim number, file number, these are all bookmarks that have been set in TrialWorks. But Eric, how do you know? Because when you turn on bookmarks, I've turned them off today just because it puts gray bars around everything, and I just wanted to show you guys. I'll show you what it looks like with bookmarks on. So I'll go to in Word, go to File, Options, Advanced. And then if you scroll down one click, you can go to Show Document Content and Show Bookmarks. At that point, all of these fields now have the gray brackets around it. That's telling you that is a bookmark. How do I put a new bookmark in? Put my cursor where I want it, type in what I need, highlight that item, and then I can insert bookmark and type in the bookmark. Anytime you use a bookmark more than one time, you must start numbering it. If I were to just choose party name here and hit add, it would pull it from up here where we've got it in our array and move it down here.
To pause you for 1 second. I think our Wi-Fi is hiccuping here in the room.
Okay.
So stop sharing your screen. Sharing your webcam. And we're going to use all the bandwidth for your TrialWorks screen.
For this.
And no, I'm seeing different things here. So
I
do
was
me
seeing
a favor.
something get popped up instead.
Yeah, unshare your screen and reshare. Oh, there it went.
We're back?
We are back. Thank you,
Sweet.
sir.
So again, sir. Yes, sir. So in TrialWorks, if you go into templates and there's a print list of bookmarks, that is the full list of every bookmark that's accessible in TrialWorks. And again, it is 63 pages. Same thing, if you're using the intake cases manager and you want to create documents there in the actual intake, not the web intake, but the actual intake, you can have bookmarks just for the web intake. It tells you where it's coming from.
Is there a wizard to help with templates? And could you please demonstrate that?
You're jumping ahead of me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right. So if you wanted to create a new template, you can always open Word, blank document, go to TrialWorks to the far right, and go through the template wizard. Again, we've put a lot of the popular bookmarks, the client bookmarks, and those things here for you, so you don't have to think about it. When you're doing these bookmarks, there's probably 15 to 20 that people use in almost every template, like the date, like the address. If it's a pleading, it's the plaintiff, it's the defendant, and those things. So when you look at the caption, that's what those are for the pleading items. Everything else, the client bookmarks, the party name, the address, first, last, date of birth, date of accident, statute, he, she, it, he, hers, its, him, her, it. All of those are there. And if you just put your cursor where you want it, so I wanted to put the date in, I could center it, go to the wizard, say I want the date, click on it, and it just puts the date in there for me. Because those are the ones that are that is one of the most popular, because it's in almost every letter you do. And then you can set it up just like you would have a regular template. Now I want the address. The address isn't here. What can I do? I can always click on the template wizard and still pull those correspondence or pleading or whatever you're trying to make and start looking for those bookmarks. And still keep building that template the way I wanted to do it. So again, I'm not having to guess what was this bookmark or what was that bookmark. Was it firm phone or firm fax number? Or was it just firm fax? Was it client zip code or was it client zip? These, because I've chosen correspondence, are going to show me the correspondence bookmarks.
So is it possible to test the fields?
It is.
You got it
If
right.
you click next, you can actually test your template. I'm losing my ability to close it. All right. Once I've created my template and I like what it's done, I can convert to a template. So even though I've taken a blank Word document, I want to create this template into correspondence, into pleadings, into discovery, wherever I want to put it, I can convert. It's a template. I can name it what I want to name it, choose the library, and file to TrialWorks. Once you've done that, it will take that document, wherever it may be, and put it into TrialWorks into your template library. So please note, if you have documents out on your whatever marked drive, if it's on the T drive, and you have a document there and you open it up, this is one of my forms, I love it, it looks great, and you go through the template wizard and you save it as a template, it will pull it from that drive and put it into TrialWorks. Okay? Of course, now every time I open anything, it's trying to do the template wizard. Okay?
Can you show how to convert one of those templates to TrialWorks? Can anyone just show me that?
Not a problem. So when you've got a document open, you can go, there's two ways that we can do it. I can go here and I can convert to template, or I can save as in TrialWorks. The saving as in TrialWorks will give you the option to save that document into a case, into a tab, like you're using File It, or I can save it as a template. And then I can save it or name it what I need to do from there. Yes, sir. Same thing if I convert to template, it's going to give me the same options. Good? Is there any other questions about templates? If you're inquiring or want help with templates, by all means, reach out to the training department, training@trialworks.com, and tell us, hey, I need some direction. I need some help with templates. Because we have those template help documents, we will send them right over to you. We have no issue in the world sending those items to you. And if you can't figure it out, call us. That's what we're there for.
I do have one more question.
Yes, sir.
From Sheridan. How do I add a category for a document, i.e. motions tab? How do I indicate a document is something that is not in the drop-down list?
So if you wanted to adjust, okay, is she talking the template or the actual document? Sherry. I'll do both. So let's say you have 100 correspondence templates and you're like, this is insane. Every time I hit the drop down, I've got to scroll all the way to W to find my welcome letter. This is ridiculous. I shouldn't have to do that. When you go into your templates and you look at your add and edit templates, they're broken down by category or by tab. So from there, I can go to this welcome letter and say, I don't want it in general. I want it in client documents. If that's not in the dropdown and it just says general, then type in client. And it will then create a new template category for you that you can then adjust or put client documents in there, letters of rep in there, client letters over there, whatever you want, medical authorizations, whatever it is that you guys decide that you want to see, you can create those template categories. And again, that's strictly template categories. So I think the bigger question that came from the audience is, I have a document that's in correspondence, pleadings, discovery, depositions. I want to associate a category to it. So again, I refer to correspondence as the big umbrella. There's so many things that can go into correspondence. I only want to see my client background request or my client, whatever it may be, client documents. I can sort that by the category here, and it just brings me those 7 documents rather than the 400 that are there. Your administrative group can go into settings and categories and create those categories for you. So again, if they go through correspondence and they're like, there's not one for this, for police report, they can always go down to the very bottom, type in police report, and then hit the drop down for the tab and choose what tab it goes into. So let's say you want a police report in correspondence and an ancillary. You've got to do it twice. I have 927. The question was, is there a limit to how many categories you can have? I have 927 right now. I have never seen it stop. Please, somebody try it. Test it. Okay? So you guys can create as many of those as you want. And you're like, okay, cool. I want to see all my correspondence again. Right down here in the bottom left says filtered. Just click it. Then you're unfiltered and you're back to working normal. And another thing next to that unfiltered is search. A lot of people don't realize that right there, there's a search that I can search this entire tab on the outside. So I can search the description or link. So if I type in LTR, it's got letter, and I can just keep hitting the enter button until I find the document I'm looking for. And that's in every tab that has documents in it. The document generation tabs.
Can you create a template for intake manager?
You can. And the thing, when you're looking at your templates and you're adding edit templates, you have the intake wizard. That's where the intake cases manager, that's where you'll create your letters. Please note, the templates that go with an intake are not the same templates that go in TrialWorks. That's why when we're looking at our list of bookmarks, where is he at? And I'm looking for contacted by. it'll say that it's part of the intake. Those are the only bookmarks you can use in the intake wizard, are those that are annotated by intake wizard. It's not all. It is only intake. Yes, ma'am. Same process. If you go to settings and categories, when we go scroll down, we see the email categories. If you want to add one, all the way to the bottom, type it in, tell it you wanted an email. And that leads to another question that we get a lot is, I forgot to categorize this email and I associated it already in TrialWorks. Can I go back and add a category to it? No. Once it's been associated, it's done. So you want to associate it before you actually, or give it a category before you associate it and transfer it over.
When you get your emails in Outlook,
Uh-huh.
you're going to transfer them to TrialWorks.
Yes.
At that point, can you add a category?
Yes. 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 You can always, before you send it, if you were going to create a new one and send it, you can add a category to it, or if one comes in, categorize it before you associate it to the case. Because once you associate it to the case and you close it, it is gone from Outlook, and then it is there, and you cannot adjust the category at that point. I think one of the biggest things, too, for us is in Outlook being able to associate an email and not have it leave our inbox. So one of the things that we look at in TrialWorks in the options is keep my filed emails in my inbox. So if you go to TrialWorks and go to options in Outlook, right there, keep my filed emails in my inbox. Okay? Not a problem. It is. So in Outlook, when you open it up, there's a TrialWorks button at the top, just like we saw in Word when I was talking about doing the template wizard. To the top, then there is options, and right there, keep filed emails in my inbox.
So that'll leave them in your inbox and in TrialWorks?
Correct. It makes a copy and goes into TrialWorks, and it leaves it in your inbox. Yes, ma'am.
For some reason in my inbox, and I think in our office, correct me if I'm wrong, I think I'm the only person who has that. In my inbox, underneath on the left-hand side, I have a TrialWorks, and all my emails that are in TrialWorks are also there. But now they're in like the thousands.
No, that's everybody.
That's everything.
Everybody's got that. Because that's where it actually moves it. When it moves it from your inbox into that TrialWorks folder.
Right.
And sent or received.
TrialWorks program, but it's still in my inbox. Not
Correct. What we're trying to do when we move it is clean up your inbox.
okay.
Because it's pointless to have 60,000 emails that are all over the place. If we can move those and put them into TrialWorks, then it's one central repository of everything. I don't have to come to you and say, did you get that email from that adjuster? Or did you get that email from that person?
So I can see it in Outlook, and I can also see it in TrialWorks.
Correct. If you click right here, it won't even leave your inbox.
You have to associate each individual email, right? In other words, if there's almost if you're on an email chain, people are responding back and forth. It's not going to automatically. If I associate the first one, it's not going to automatically associate everyone after. I have to do it manually.
From everyone outside the office. If it's inside the office, so me and you are communicating and you have a paralegal, she's also in the email or he's also in the email. If you two respond, it's automatically associated. But when I respond back to you, that has to be recaptured or reassociated. Correct. So the thing that comes with that too is what usually when I talk to people about training is if you're going to, me and you are going to go back and forth, associate the one at the last of the day. And if it starts up the next day, just wait to the end of the day because that last one's going to have the full chain of everything anyway, and it's going to be there for you. You don't have to. If you wanted to see every single email, then you surely can. But again, people, if they go to the email tab and they see, they're like, no, I don't care anymore. I'm over it. I got you. Sir.
Is there a search feature in these emails? If you know you wrote an email, hey, can I find it? And, whether it's in the, if it's say, in the body of the email will
100%. So when you go to the email tab at the bottom, okay, the question was, is there a way to search in the email tab? So in the email tab, in the bottom left, the binoculars that are here allows you to search by subject, body, from a person to a person. I can search this case, hit the drop down and choose another case, or I can just search all cases. So if I want to see every email I've ever received from that adjuster on every single case, I can copy his address, put it in the from, and hit search, and it's going to search every single case, every email he's ever sent me. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, and does the notes tab have the same type of functionality?
It does. It's only for this case. And again, you get that search functionality here at the bottom. And also you can use the find feature at the top. Sir.
I got a question online. What if the email has the file number or claim number? Would the auto filing work?
It will. If that is associated and you've turned on auto filing. So the question, I don't think everybody else here had the question. If it's got the file number or the claim number that's associated when it comes in, you can turn on auto filing. And I think the biggest problem for us is when people turn on auto filing or they see, you know, I opened this email from this person. I see 3 cases and then it shows me all my cases. What it's saying is that it associated the people that are associated in that email, that they've gone to those, they filed emails in those 3 cases before. So it's trying to preemptively help you and say, look, last time you got an email from Heather, it went to one of these 3 cases. Well, not only that, but okay, she emailed me on something totally different. I can still associate it to another case, but it's just trying to preemptively help you in associating those 3 cases that it already knows you're there. How do we access? Okay, I've already got, Mr. Grant, I will contact you and let you know.
Another question we have is, doesn't the notes report search across all cases?
When you're looking at reports and notes, you can do all notes by an author, and that would be in any case, in every case. Notes in the current case, and again, notes justified, notes report, that is about this case. All notes that you have made in a date range, again, that would stretch across all cases. But you can't specifically search a word in a note across all cases. Cool. Any other questions at all? I think we have 11 to 11:15 break worked in. I know we have done the template packages and those things.
So yeah, let's call our 15-minute break now.
Yep.
Let everybody take a moment, check out their legs, check up on email, and we will come back at, let's say, 11:05.
Sounds great to me.
Perfect. We'll see everybody soon.